right, when you're looking to land a new opportunity, making a great first impression is so important. And joining us once again is LauraMathewson. She is an author and manners expert, and today we're getting advice on how to quote-unquote work it in front of the camera. Reason why we're saying this is because first impressions obviously are very important, and now you're finding that a lot of employers are looking at prospective employees through video conferencing, not necessarily the personal interview that we're accustomed to.
That's right, and in fact they're using it instead of the telephone interview because it gives so much more of an overall impression. You can watch the body language, too much hand motions, do they look terrified? These are important things. So the key here is practice, practice, practice.
Okay, let's talk about that because it is hard. If you're sitting there talking to a camera, you don't know sometimes what to do with your hands or how to react, or it's hard to be natural. So you say what? Set up a camera and talk into the camera.
Exactly.
Or phone or what?
Exactly, even just a phone. Try practicing. You'll want to check your makeup. You'll want to check the clothes that you're wearing. If you're wearing something too busy, it might not look right and might detract from you. And you want you to shine in this interview. You need to practice your questions and answers in front of just your own iPhone is fine, but in little bits. Criticize yourself, critique yourself. Of course, we're our own worst critics. But
right. I do not like watching the show back at 2 p.m.
No, no. Well, and in fact, that's how I am learning to be better on TV, is that I do record it. This is being recorded at home, and I do watch it again at 2, and it is horrible. It's so painful to see. The show is wonderful. It's me. It's me that's horrible. But from that, I've learned not to be such a bobblehead. I'm trying to keep my head a little bit more still. I'm trying to pay more attention, shoulders back, and yet you need to look
comfortable.
Comfortable,
and so it's this happy medium of not looking too stiff, because you know that certain things that you're doing can inadvertently make you look disinterested. So I've noticed that the camera really accentuates if you don't have good posture. If you're not sitting up, it might look like I'm not into what you're saying if I'm sitting back in my chair. But then at the same time, to your point, getting in front of the camera and practicing, you can develop that comfort level so where you're mindful of things you need to be aware of, but you're not freaking out about it.
You can concentrate more on the important thing, which is the facts and what you're saying to these folks, because you do want to nail this job.
And let's talk about that, being a savvy, successful candidate. What are some other tips that you might have for someone who's going to be engaging in this video conference interview?
Well, first of all, I would review all the steps for a regular, normal, person-to-person, face-to-face interview, because the same things hold. You need to be paying attention. You need to look excited about getting the job, about wanting the job. You need to be prepared with appropriate questions, which also takes practice. You need to do all of those things. So, first of all, in addition to practicing, I would practice for a face-to-face interview, because if you're successful with this, since this is replacing a lot of the telephone interviews, you will be asked for a face-to-face interview. And the reason that this is becoming so popular, and it's the hot new thing in business, is because it's so much less expensive.
Well, sure, you don't have to fly someone across the country to sit down for an interview, and if it ultimately doesn't work out, then they're out that cost. This is the initial, perhaps, opportunity to be able to meet this person.
Yes, it's a perfect opportunity, and since technology has gotten so much better now, it is relatively simple to do. But it's not for everyone, and if you've never done it before, you really need to practice. It's also being used an awful lot in transfers, particularly if someone, say from Jacksonville, was going to be taking over a tightly knit team in a business in LA. Is the feeling between people going to work, do you think this person would fit on your team?
What do they always say? Practice, practice, practice. We got to run. Even though you don't like it, you don't like looking at yourself, go in and practice, at least get a comfort level.
You have to do that.
Laura, thank you so much for being here. We appreciate you as always for coming on and for the advice. And you can learn more about Laura and her book, Bottom Line, Manners Matter. And you can go to the website, bottomlinemannersmatter.com.